เมื่อต้นปีนี้ Uber ได้เข้ามาเปิดตัวในประเทศไทยโดยกรุงเทพนับเป็นเมืองที่ 17 ที่ Uber ให้บริการในภาคพื้นเอเชียแปซิฟิก Why do you enter the Thai market?
Thailand is an incredibly dynamic city, and Uber is solving transport problems. What we find is people who love Uber, not only are they people who ride in a limousine or otherwise would ride a taxi, these are people who otherwise would take their car out. So in many cases, Uber is reducing congestion in cities by taking people out of their private car and making the cars that are on the road much more utilized. They're getting a lot more trips out of them. So that reduces congestion. It makes cities a lot more usable and livable.
Is paying by credit card here in Thailand for Uber services an obstacle because most people are still used to paying by cash?
You're absolutely right in that it's a lower percentage of people who have credit card in Thailand today than it may be, let's say, in Singapore or Australia. I have two things to say about that. The first is that's changing because credit card penetration is growing in Thailand. And the second thing I would say is we're very sensitive to that and we're very aware of it. And you can bet that we're working hard to find alternative payment mechanisms for people to use Uber. Whether those are local bank cards, debit cards, potentially connecting with mobile phone services. There's lots of other ways that we can think of to enable people to pay.
There are other taxi app companies launching their products here in Thailand as well. Is competition going to be very intense here?
In many ways, we salute them because we feel like we're all trying to do the same thing.
Right.
We're all trying to create optionality for citizens so that we can reduce congestion in cities. But in terms of those other companies, what I'd say is we have a lot of ideas for how to make Uber better. And as long as Uber is a service that they know they can count on, we're going to be very successful. And that's really our primary focus right now.
What is Uber's future plan for Thailand?
Well, we want to be everywhere. And when I mean everywhere, I really mean everywhere. Today we're in Bangkok, but we have aspiration to change and improve the lives of Thai people all over the country. We can do that for riders because we can make transport more accessible and more affordable. But we also can improve the lives of drivers because we create jobs wherever we go.
เมื่อเดือนมิถุนายนที่ผ่านมาแท็กซี่ทั่วยุโรปรวมตัวกันประท้วงการเรียกรถโดยสารโดยแอปพลิเคชัน Uber ด้วยเหตุผลว่า Uber ไม่ได้อยู่ภายใต้กฎหมายชุดเดียวกันกับผู้ให้บริการแท็กซี่ทั่วไปทำให้ Uber ได้เปรียบในการที่สามารถกำหนดราคาเริ่มต้นและค่าธรรมเนียมต่างๆเองโดยไม่ต้องสนใจกฎหมายท้องถิ่นนอกจากนี้กรณีบริการแบบ UberX ซึ่งคนทั่วไปสามารถเอารถส่วนตัวมาเป็นรถโดยสารให้บริการได้ถือเป็นการแย่งงานคนขับแท็กซี่ทั่วไป Uber is accused in many cities around the world as being an illegal taxi service, especially for your peer-to-peer service. What would you say to that?
First of all, Uber has a couple of different products. Most of Uber products, like the one we're operating in Bangkok, are with driver partners who are fully registered, fully compliant with the law, and so there's absolutely no issue there whatsoever. When we enter a market, we certainly read the law and we have deep respect for regulation. In certain markets, we've introduced this product called UberX, where ordinary people are driving their car and making money transporting people from point A to point B. First of all, let's talk about the results. The results are we're seeing drivers who are supplementing their income and making more money than they've ever made before. These are professional people, these are students, these are people training to be medical students, for example, who are now finding ways to supplement their income by driving. Uber provides insurance in all cases so that we know that riders and drivers are always safe. In terms of the legality of it, what I can say is in some ways, Uber has invented something that's never existed before. When laws in certain countries were created, the idea was that there could be a gypsy driver or a driver who would kind of approach you on the street who had no background check, had no qualifications, and there was no way of tracking who that person was. That's when the laws were created, was to prevent things like that. Uber in 2014, with the invention of iPhone and Android phone, as well as the background checks that we do, has completely transformed the ability to hold drivers accountable and to make sure that this is a really safe and reliable service. So to give you a short answer, what I would say is there are places in the world where Uber is ahead of the regulation and the regulation is struggling to catch up. What we're seeing, though, and the positive news is regulation is catching up quickly. So if you look at places, for example, like Colorado in the United States, and California, and Washington, D.C., and the state of New York, these are all places that when Uber entered, Uber was ahead of its time with respect to the regulation. And now regulators are seeing that literally millions of people are getting a better, cheaper, more reliable ride. Drivers are making money who otherwise would have been unemployed or otherwise would have been making less money. And lawmakers are saying, this is fundamentally good for my city, right? We've shown that taxi crime has been reduced in Chicago. We've shown that drunk driving has fallen in the city of Seattle, Washington. There are places in the world where there are protests. I won't deny it. There are places in the world where people are saying, you know, is this right? Is this good? Is this safe? And so we're having very productive conversations all over the world with regulators to introduce ourselves. And oftentimes, you know, once we explain things like riders and drivers are insured, full stop. The drivers have criminal background checks, full stop. You can really see the tension start to just escape from the room, because what regulators are concerned about, as they should be, is public safety.
Right.
Luckily, Uber is also very concerned about public safety, and we have an excellent track record of protecting it. So I'm confident that over time, as we roll out our service in more places, and in particular the peer-to-peer service, we will find that cities are going to embrace it, because it really does make cities better. It makes them more livable.
เทคโนโลยีกำลังทำให้การเรียกแท็กซี่และให้บริการแท็กซี่เปลี่ยนไปและในหลายเมืองทั่วโลกตอนนี้กำลังเกิดการเปลี่ยนแปลงนี้รวมถึงกรุงเทพมหานครด้วยค่ะเรารู้เรื่องราวของ Uber ไปแล้วสัปดาห์หน้ามาทำความรู้จักกับอีก2แอปที่บุกตลาดเมืองไทย Grab Taxi และ Easy Taxi ค่ะวันนี้สวัสดีค่ะ